I'm Mitch.
And I'm Fred.
Welcome to Aging Answers. This is episode 2 of our podcast, Finance, and today we're going to be reviewing some options for how our clients and viewers can pay for home care services.
You know, Mitch, we get a lot of questions. This is probably the top one of, who pays for this? How do we pay for it? And so today we thought it'd be best if we could go over some of these options and invite you to explore these before you actually need care. It's really important that you have this in place, and whether that's maybe through a trust, through your just private bank accounts, or however that works out, you do need to pay for some of your care. Again, our company, we look at trying to keep people at home where they can live happy and healthy forever. So, I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. But there are other options out there. So let's get to it.
Let's break it down. So again, today the episode is on finance and how our viewers, our clients, what options they have for paying for home care services. And this is actually usually one of the first and biggest questions. We call it one of the elephants in the room. How are we going to pay for this? So today we're going to break it down a little bit and go over some of the options that are typically available and what each one of those might look like. So I'll let you kind of jump into the first one there, and we'll start on it.
So there's a lot of options that's out there. Let's just start with this one: long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance used to be offered a lot when we had a lot of factories or businesses that wanted to offer a benefit for their employees, and so they would offer this long-term care insurance. And that basically says that you're going to pay into an insurance policy, and in some point in life you may need some care, and that would pay a benefit out of whatever amount that it was insured for. So a lot of people don't even know that they had it, especially if you have parents and you're not quite sure exactly what they have. That's a good question to ask them. Did you ever have long-term care insurance? Because if they're still paying for it, it's a great benefit. It can provide a lot of care, a lot of financial care for a long time. And sometimes they would offer it for the employee and for the spouse. So we've had multiple of clients that have this, and it's a great benefit. They don't offer it seems like as much, but there is some major companies out there, 15 or 20 of them throughout the country. I think you typically get a better rate, and I'm not in insurance, so I'm really not sure about that, but I think you get a little better rate when you're younger, and as you pay into it, you get more benefit from it. That you do a lot of it. I know you do a lot of engagements with long-term care companies. Maybe you can tell them a little bit more how it works.
Yeah, so we like you said, there's 15 or 20 major insurers throughout the nation. I think overall there's about around 100. But some of the more frequent long-term care insurances that we've come across would be Mutual of Omaha, Nationwide, John Hancock, Genworth, and they're all pretty much the same. They all usually work about the same. There's a daily benefit, which is paid out for your home care services. So let's assume that you had a policy of $100,000 that you've paid into over the however many X amount of years. That daily limit is broken down on how much home care will be paid for by the hour, basically. So let's say you had a $200 daily limit. You would take that $200 daily limit, and then that would be broken down by the agency's hourly rate. And usually there's two options for the long-term care benefits to be submitted. The home care agency can become the beneficiary. The assignment of benefits, I think is what they call it. And that basically says, okay, home care agency, you're gonna invoice for this, you're gonna show care notes, you're gonna show what ADLs, activities of daily living, are being provided. You're gonna submit that invoice to us, and we're gonna reimburse you directly from the client's account. The other option would be that the client could self-pay, and then we would invoice the long-term care insurance that way and get reimbursed, and then the client would be reimbursed alternatively as well. So it's usually a fairly simple process. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get started. There's typically a 90 to 100 day vesting period, which means the long-term care insurance company is going to want 90 to 100 days of home care before the policy kicks in. And that may vary depending on which insurance company it is, but generally they all work about the same.
So, that's one option. There's other options, and I'll just kind of go over these here, shoot them out there, and then we'll cover these. You could have Medicaid as well. Again, Medicare typically doesn't cover this, but there is a new program that we'll eventually get to talk
The guide
about.
program.
Yeah, the GUIDE program, which is kind of a new pilot program that Medicare is just trying out. And so hopefully that'll come along and add some extra benefits.
Well, since you mentioned it, we might as well let's talk about it.
Okay.
As you mentioned, GUIDE is a new Medicare program. It went live in July of 2025, and basically what GUIDE is it pays for respite care in the home. So if you're a senior and you have Medicare Part A and B without a supplemental insurance, you have a cognitive diagnosis, say dementia, and you have an unpaid caregiver, which would be maybe a family member or friend that is helping you, you would most likely qualify for the GUIDE program. The GUIDE program itself will pay for about $2,500 a year of respite care. And that respite care is just to provide relief for the family member who is taking care of the client or a friend. So it's a pretty simple process to get started as long as those three criteria are met: Medicare Part A and B, the cognitive diagnosis, and an unpaid caregiver in the home.
And the important thing there too is, again, you can't have a supplemental plan. I think Medicare is kind of looking for the benefit for just standard A and B recipients. So that is a great benefit. We can add that with other hours. So in other words, let's say that you want to have a caregiver there 4 hours a day. And this particular GUIDE program is made that it does give you benefit in 4 hour blocks. So maybe you want 1 day a week to use the GUIDE program, and possibly you can use other days as self-pay. You could use other days as long-term care. So we kind of blend it all together. Our goal, again, is to keep seniors in their home and to make it financially available to do that. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work to blend it all together, but we seem to always get it done one way or the other. Another way, again, Medicaid, and that kind of gets into a whole different breakdown. We are credentialed with Medicaid. Typically, most of our hours are a little longer than what Medicaid provides for, because they typically have daily limits. They have limits of home care, of nursing, and so it's really hard for staffing. And for us to just go in for a couple hours with seniors at home is they need a little bit more. If they need help, an hour a day is not going to help a senior. So we typically look at a little different program and try to get them a few more hours.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the Medicaid, typically they have a daily limit up to 8 hours of combined nursing, home health aid, and therapy services. And so out of that 8 hours, they may only provide 2 hours twice a week for home care services. Now, depending on each situation, there could be more hours or higher limit, which we do see, but typically it's usually on the lower end.
You know, there's again a lot of different ways depending on needs. Our goal is to try to provide the necessary care for the least amount of time. Time is dollars, and we find that if we can limit those hours, the longevity of life, because again, life is going to continue on. We don't know when it's going to end, and if we can stretch those dollars out, it makes a lot of sense. So what we typically try to do is find some other methods of paying for care before we get into your actual cash accounts. And if we can do that, care will go a long way.
Yeah.
And sometimes people think, oh, I need someone to go in there and spend the whole day or the whole night. Once we get to so many hours, then we start to look at, hey, is there other options available? Maybe if you're deciding, hey, I need 24/7 care for my loved one, maybe at home care is not the best way to go, dollar wise. And we can talk about that a little bit too. So, maybe it's assisted living. And the costs, we can kind of do a comparison and figure out where we're at there.
Yeah, on the assisted living side, the dollar amounts typically come out to be pretty close to the same. So a national average for assisted living is approximately $5,400 to $6,300 per month, which is about $75,000 annually. And again, that's going to vary depending on where you live at in the country. Home care, on the other side, typically ranges $34 to $35 an hour, which is pretty close to the assisted living side. So if a person was needing about 40 hours of care a week, that's going to run roughly $5,700 to $6,300 a month. So pretty comparable. And either case, someone gets to stay where they want to be. So if it's assisted living, they can stay there, and they're going to get a little bit of care, not as much maybe as you would in your own home if you're paying for your own home care services. But 40 hours a week in a home, especially if somebody wants to stay in their home, is quite a big deal. And depending on how limited that person is in mobility, or whatever disease they have going on, that can be a big help for family members taking care of them.
Yeah, the families are still busy, and that's the reality of it. You can't get up early in the morning, go to visit maybe parents or relatives, jump off, go to work your full shift, come back, try to check in on loved ones again, and then maybe go home and tend to your own family. So that makes for long days, 7 days a week. And so we try to jump in there and take some of that stress out of there. If we can get in there during the day and keep them settled, maybe we can break it down that you don't have to be there every day, and that we can be there. That really does take a lot of pressure off of families. The assisted living, and there's some great assisted living facilities.
There's great benefits to it as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of partners. We're going to bring some of our partners in here and let them explain a little bit, and maybe that'll give you some guidelines of comparison. And sometimes we do both. Sometimes you'll be looking at assisted living and move a family member there and find out, hey, maybe they just need a little bit more care during the day. And we have great relationships with them. We can go in and fill in the gaps. They're in the same boat as everyone. Everyone's kind of shorthanded. and everyone's scrambling to provide benefits. So sometimes if we go in and can take the load off, maybe it's just that you need transportation to doctor's appointments, or maybe a dentist or whatever that may be. We can help with that too.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned earlier, if you get to the point where you need 24/7 care. So it's basically going to come down to just a few things. Whether that person can afford it, maybe they have a trust that, it was set up years ago that they could afford to cover the cost of a nursing home. If they don't have those finances available, what does that look like?
Well, if you don't have the funds, it could be, turning to Medicaid. Medicaid can bring you into a facility. They're going to care for you, and that's part of the program with Medicaid. As benefits go and financial aid, they're pretty much going to take care of that, but there are stipulations to that. And that's why we encourage really everyone to get with a financial planner and get with an elder attorney. Get it figured out ahead of time, years before you need it is great. And if the time happens, it comes along and you need it, you'll have everything in place. It'll make life much easier.
So here's another statistic. So nationally, a private room in a nursing home averages roughly $11,000 a month. And a semi-private room is about $9,800 a month. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if that person wants to stay at home, and they don't need the 24/7 care, home care is a little bit better option. If they can afford that, and they need 24/7 care, don't care, where they're staying, then the nursing home is probably going to be a better option.
Well, yeah, and the 24-hour option is, if you need it, nursing care is there. Of course, we're not nursing, so we don't do that. But, for home care, if it's just a matter of general living, we can help them stay at home.
So it really comes down to if they want to stay at home or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the home care for us, how we try to break this down is the minimal amount of time is a minimal amount of hours. So if we can do that, and things may change. There's always going to be a turn, and when you're a senior, there's always little surprises jumping up. It could be our teeth, it could be our eyes, it could be anything along those lines. And it's always draining dollars. And the thing is, we're not working anymore, so we're living off all the money that we had to save just to get through. So we're trying to make those dollars go as far as possible. And the old saying, knowledge is power. So whenever we can and get more knowledge out there, that's what we try to do. Another option that we've seen seniors use is a reverse mortgage. And that's just kind of new to the scene here, maybe, I don't know, the last 10 years. And that's where you would, make a financial arrangements with a financial institution and take the funds and use those funds of your home to pay for your care. At the end of that time, the bank would basically own the bank or own the house, and whatever that would look like going into a will or whatever you would have. So that's an option. Maybe the financial planner, I know, everyone says, oh, I don't need a financial planner. Well, to try to separate this, how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, and where it's going to come from. Whether or not you need this home care or not, and we don't do financial planning, so we have nothing in this. But we found that people that have done it, it works out pretty well. And we're going to have some of those referral partners in here as well, because that's kind of where we get our knowledge from, is when we meet with everyone. They kind of give us a lot of education to help us in our journey as well.
Yeah, they're always But, of course, they're always looking to help somebody, especially through their business. So anytime that we have the option to refer out to one of our partners, it's always it's a good scenario. Especially we're not experts in it, like you said, and if we can get someone to the right person to give them the right help, then that's our intention.
Another option, and we have a lot of veterans in this country, and the VA system has really come a long way to help our veterans, and they're really reaching out a hand right now. We work with them daily, and we have a lot of clients that are veterans, and there's a couple different programs, and we're going to have again some of these referral partners in as well to explain their programs in more in depth. But there's a couple different programs either for veterans that were in during war periods, and then maybe just something that's needed on an assistance in their daily living activities. And there is benefits in both cases. Or maybe you need a wheelchair ramp, or maybe you need a stair lift. And so the Service Commission does a lot of that. And we're going to try to get those folks in here as well to help us.
So why don't we break that down? What the VA benefits look like? So you mentioned the Service Commission, and they're typically going to be responsible for pensions, determining pensions, and any equipment needs, as well as the aid and attendance program. So the aid and attendance program is a benefit for veterans who have served in a wartime period.
Mm-hmm.
They have a need for help with an ADL. They may have limited eyesight. I know that's a stipulation, and their income, or is it the income? The
income was about 100. The assets.
Asset threshold is $163,699 this year, and that's also a 3-year look-back period on all asset transfers.
Now that does exclude a home
And 2 acres and a vehicle.
Yeah.
So
when they count those assets, that's not included. So everyone's worried right now, property taxes or whatever, and values of the home. So that is not included in these figures.
Yeah. So if they're under that asset threshold, then they're eligible for a stipend, a monthly stipend, and it could be for a single veteran, a married veteran, a surviving spouse, or 2 married veterans. And those stipends slightly vary depending on the status, but a single veteran would be entitled up to about $2,400 a month for home care. A surviving spouse would be entitled up to about $1,558 a month. And those dollars are used specifically to help the client in their home care services.
They have guidelines also on the wartime period. So for this program, that you did have to be a veteran for at least 90 days of active duty during a wartime period. And we have veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, and there's specific times in there that is also.
If one of our listeners or viewers needed more information, we'd be happy to send that out. They could call us, you can email us, check out our website. We'd be more than happy to talk with anybody looking for that information.
Yeah, I think that everyone thinks that it's really confusing. In some of these cases, it takes a little bit of time. Other cases, it could only take a week, 10 days or so.
Yeah, on the community care network side of the VA, that's where if the veteran is established with the VA, and even if they're not, we can help them get established. But the VA will do an assessment based on their living needs. the things that a client needs to do to live a normal life at home. And based on that assessment from the VA will come back and say, okay, we think this veteran needs 8 hours of home care a week. And so those ADLs or those things that they need help with could be like housekeeping or meal prep, bathing, clothing, helping someone get dressed. And so those VA dollars or those VA hours are really what kick in and can offset the home care costs, especially if someone needs more than what's provided by the VA.
Our great veterans, took their time out of their lives to serve, put their lives in harm's way. And this is a benefit that a lot of veterans don't want to take. And we encourage them to, they deserve it. They did everything that their country asked. And this is something that we need to do for them to take care of them throughout their lifetime. And a lot of times it's just a matter of it maybe some confusion of and how long it's going to take and how hard and information. And we try to help them through that process. There's different avenues that we can use. The VA has their own avenues, and so we'll get you through the process. It just takes a little bit of time, but the benefit is immense. From hearing and eyesight, medications. The VA has really stepped up and is really taken care of. So we're going to probably do a particular segment just
On
maybe
each one of these.
Yeah. Because it's that important, and we take care of a lot, and we're thankful for the VA.
So I guess let's just recap some of the finance options, so our viewers know where to begin or what questions to ask. So we started with long-term care insurance, and those are providers where benefits have been paid into maybe previously or even up to this point. We have the VA, which we just talked about. There's two programs in the VA Community Care Network and the Aid and Attendance. We have Medicaid, and Medicaid is going to be income-based as well. And then our private duty, so private pay is, I guess, the last option that we would want to explore, if we can help someone get home care financed without coming out of their own pockets.
Yeah, and the reason for that, there's a lot of other things that come out of your pocket, and that's food and transportation and insurance, and the list goes on and on with those daily expenses. And some of those, if we can help and fund this with other means, and use your cash allowance, your savings, your whatever, to last longer, that's really important. As you age, you can't work anymore. So the money that you have, you're going to have to use throughout your lifetime. And our goal is to stretch that as far as we can. And those financial limits is for everyone. I haven't seen anyone yet that had so much money they weren't affected. So everyone's in the same boat on this, but rest assured, we can figure out a way to get it through, from minimal hours to great care for minimal hours is really what we strive for. And at some point you need more time, we can give you more time, and we'll figure that out. We're working on a program right now to help people that doesn't have any savings, and that's coming down the road. That might be a while.
Yeah.
That's a lot of planning to get there, but that's our goal.
Yeah, we want to be able to help,
anyone and everyone. Yes.
Yep. But I think those are some great talking points, and as you mentioned, we're going to break these down individually, and we'll probably have guest speakers to come in and someone that's more of an expert than we are to talk about these and break down each section a little bit more, and then we'll be able to provide more resources as well. Again, if if anyone listening has any questions or wants to know more, which way they need to go, we're here to help. Again, our podcast is just to give as much information about home care and anything surrounding it as we can.
So as you're listening to the podcast, if you have a question, go ahead. Our email's up there, our phone number. Call us, email us. We're here to answer all your questions. We appreciate it if you can hit the like and share button. Hey, we're just starting on this journey, so we don't know a lot about how to do this, but that's what they tell us we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to get as many viewers. So if you like it, and please like and share it and subscribe to our channel.
Thanks for watching Aging Answers, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.